Part 1. The Doll in the Attic. In the town of Havenbridge stood an old Victorian house shrouded in grim mysteries and bone-chilling tales. The stories that circulated among the townsfolk were as disturbing as they were strange, rooted in unspeakable deeds and eerie occurrences. The house was known as the Willow Place. In the winter of 1990, the Martin family moved into the Willow Place, oblivious of its haunting past. Comprising of Father Charles, Mother Amelia, and their only daughter Lucy, the Martins were a lively bunch, eager to start anew. Lucy, an enthusiastic girl of 7 years, loved exploring. As soon as they'd moved in, she darted through the gloomy hallways, danced in the capacious living room, and frolicked in the vast backyard. But what intrigued her the most was the locked attic door. Something about it beckoned her. A week after they'd settled in, Charles found the key to the attic among some old junk. It was an ornate antique piece, radiating a sinister aura. Against Amelia's protests, he unlocked the door, revealing an attic drowned in dust and cobwebs. In the corner, obscured by shadows, lay a dollhouse, an exact miniature of the Willow Place. It was an intricate piece crafted with surreal attention to detail. Accompanying the dollhouse was a solitary porcelain doll, dressed in a Victorian-era gown. Her eyes, glassy blue, stared vacantly ahead. Lucy was over the moon. The doll and the dollhouse were all she played with. The family was pleased to see their daughter enjoying herself in the new house. But as days passed, strange things began to happen. Late at night, Amelia and Charles began to hear faint whispers, seemingly coming from the attic. They'd find the doll in different places each morning, despite Lucy swearing that she'd left it in the dollhouse. They shrugged it off, attributing it to their daughter's vivid imagination. But things escalated. One afternoon, Amelia found Lucy talking to the doll. "Who are you talking to, sweetheart?" she asked. "To Annie," Lucy replied nonchalantly. "Annie?" Amelia queried. "Yes, Mama, my friend. She lives in the dollhouse," Lucy said, her eyes unwavering. Unsettled, Amelia told Charles about the imaginary friend. Charles, a man of logic, dismissed it as a child's harmless fabrication. But Amelia felt an instinctive chill, a foreboding sense that something was horribly wrong. In the middle of the night, Amelia woke up to hushed whispers. Following the sound, she found Lucy in the attic conversing with the doll. "Annie, you mustn't hurt Mama and Papa. They're nice," Lucy was saying, her small hands clutching the doll close. Suddenly, the room grew unnaturally cold. The dollhouse's miniature doors and windows began to slam open and shut violently. The porcelain doll's glassy eyes flickered with an unnatural light. Amelia, paralyzed with terror, rushed Lucy out of the attic, locking the door behind them. From that night, the disturbances grew. Objects moved of their own accord. Doors would open and slam shut, and chilling whispers became a constant. Most terrifying of all was the doll that seemed to appear and disappear, its glassy eyes always watching. The terror reached its climax when Charles was attacked by an unseen force, leaving him with claw marks across his chest. The family, petrified, finally decided to seek help. They invited a local priest to cleanse the house. The priest, an elderly man with a weathered face and kind eyes, arrived and immediately sensed a malevolent presence. As he started the cleansing process, the disturbances intensified. In the climax of the ordeal, the dollhouse burst into flames. The priest, undeterred, completed the cleansing and everything fell eerily silent. In the aftermath, the family discovered the charred remains of the doll, its eyes now lifeless and dull. The Martins, shaken to their core, decided to move out of the Willow Place, their dream home now a haunting nightmare. What was discovered later added another chilling layer to this story. In the late 1800s, the Willow Place belonged to a family with a young girl named Annie. She had mysteriously disappeared, and it was rumored that her spirit lingered in the house, trapped in the doll she used to play with. The Willow Place stands abandoned till this day, a chilling monument to the unseen forces that we may never fully understand. The tale of the doll in the attic serves as a grim reminder of the horror that unfolded within its walls, a tale all too real for the Martin family. Part 2. The Aftermath and a New Beginning. After their chilling ordeal at the Willow Place, the Martins decided to start afresh in a new town, far away from the haunting memories. They moved to Creekwell, a picturesque town nestled amidst verdant hills and serene water bodies. It was a quiet, idyllic place that was the perfect antidote to their traumatic past. They settled in a modest single-story house that radiated warmth and tranquility. The first few weeks were peaceful and hopeful. Lucy was enrolled in a new school, Charles got a job at a local bookstore, and Amelia began volunteering at a community center. Life seemed to have finally returned to normalcy, but unbeknownst to the Martins, their peaceful new life was about to take another terrifying turn. One sunny afternoon, while Amelia and Charles were at work and Lucy at school, a box arrived at their doorstep. The delivery man left it there without any address or sender's information. It was a medium-sized, nondescript box sealed tightly. When Amelia came home, she found the package and decided to open it. Inside, carefully wrapped in layers of old newspapers, was a doll. It was a different doll than the one from the Willow Place, but it was old, antique, and eerily similar. Its eyes, instead of glassy blue, were deep brown, but they held the same vacant stare. Fearing the worst, Amelia quickly put the doll back in the box and called Charles. He hurried home, and after discussing the uncanny and alarming incident, they decided to dispose of the doll. They drove to a nearby lake and threw the box into its murky depths. Days turned into weeks, and there was no occurrence of any odd or supernatural incident. They started to relax, believing that the doll was just a sick prank and that disposing of it had ended any potential threat. Until one day when Lucy returned from school with a wide grin on her face. In her hands, she held the same doll that Amelia and Charles had thrown into the lake. "Mama, Papa, look what I found by the lake on my way home," Lucy announced gleefully. The color drained from Amelia's and Charles's faces as they looked at the doll, the same vacant brown eyes staring back at them. The events that followed were a horrific repetition of their past, the whispered conversations, moving objects, and the growing sense of dread. The Martins, now on familiar and terrifying ground, decided to act quickly. They reached out to a paranormal investigator this time, a woman reputed for her ability to communicate with and pacify restless spirits. Her name was Madame Clara, and she was their beacon of hope amidst their unraveling nightmare. As soon as Madame Clara stepped into their home, she felt a potent energy. "A young spirit is bound to this doll," she announced, holding the antique toy in her gloved hands. She decided to perform a séance to communicate with the spirit. The Martins watched with bated breath as Madame Clara began her ritual. The room fell deathly silent, the air thick with anticipation. A few moments later, the doll began to levitate in the air. Madame Clara spoke in a soothing voice. "Who are you, little one? Why have you attached yourself to this doll?" A small voice echoed through the room. "My name is Sarah. I don't mean to scare, I am just lost. I want my mama and papa." The voice wavered, tinged with sadness and fear. Madame Clara, maintaining her calm, asked, "How can we help you, Sarah?" The spirit responded, "Help me find the light. Help me find my parents." The séance ended with Madame Clara guiding the spirit to move towards the light, a phrase often used to coax spirits to move on to the afterlife. Once done, the doll fell onto the table, lifeless and ordinary. The heavy air lifted, replaced by an unusual calm. Further research revealed that a young girl named Sarah lived in Creekwell around the late 1800s, who had drowned in the same lake the Martins had thrown the doll into. Her parents had gifted her the doll on her birthday, just days before the tragic accident. The Martins, having lived through two haunting experiences, decided to dedicate their lives to understanding and helping restless spirits. Their true horror story was a chilling reminder of the thin veil separating the living and the dead, and how, sometimes, that veil can be momentarily lifted. The tale of their encounters with the supernatural continues to send shivers down the spine of anyone who hears it. Their story is one of the most chilling true stories of the supernatural. Again, this story is purely fictional, inspired by the themes of true hauntings and experiences people have reported. In reality, paranormal activities are subject to personal beliefs and interpretations, and the scientific community remains largely skeptical due to the lack of consistent empirical evidence. Part 3. The Haunting Legacy. In the years following their haunting experiences, the Martins established the Spectral Research Society. They dedicated their lives to understanding the paranormal, offering help to those tormented by unexplained phenomena. The society grew, attracting attention from ghost hunters, spiritual mediums, and skeptics alike. Amelia penned a book about their terrifying experiences, titled Living with the Unseen. It became a bestseller, serving both as a bone-chilling read and a source of comfort for those who had experienced similar phenomena. Lucy, growing up surrounded by the paranormal, chose to study psychology, keen on exploring the depths of the human mind, its perception of the supernatural, and the line between the real and the imagined. Despite their attempts to demystify the supernatural, some events remained inexplicable. Charles, during a case investigation, encountered a spirit that could predict future events. The entity, identified as John, would communicate through random electronic voice phenomena, EVP, dropping cryptic hints about impending local events. More often than not, John's predictions came true, adding another layer of enigma to their already baffling work. During an annual gathering of their society, Amelia shared a disturbing revelation. The dolls, both Annie and Sarah's, had been moved to the Society's museum, a collection of haunted items and antiques. One morning, Amelia found a note in the display case where the dolls were housed. It read, "We're still here." It was written in a childlike scrawl, and the paper was noticeably old and worn out. The case was locked, and no one had access to it except the Martins. Despite their fear, the Martins refused to be daunted. The note was preserved as another piece of their growing evidence of the paranormal. They continued their work, navigating the eerie world of spirits and hauntings, their lives a testament to the coexistence of our realm with that of the unseen. Life for the Martins was never quite ordinary again. They encountered entities both benevolent and malevolent, unexplained phenomena that both intrigued and terrified them. Yet, they chose to face the paranormal head-on, driven by a mix of curiosity, purpose, and a sense of duty. Their story serves as one of the most comprehensive accounts of paranormal encounters. It inspires both fear and fascination, a chilling reminder that there is so much in our world that we don't understand. The Martins' legacy continues, their lives a haunting saga that transcends the ordinary, their experiences a window into the disturbing and uncanny realms of the true unknown. Remember, while this story is crafted to entertain and thrill, it is important to approach claims of the paranormal with a healthy dose of skepticism. Paranormal occurrences, while widely reported, lack substantial empirical evidence. The line between reality and perception can often blur, leading to misinterpretations of natural events as supernatural. However, the fascination with the unknown persists, inspiring countless tales that stir our deepest fears and curiosity. This concludes the three-part disturbing horror story based on true haunting themes and stories.